Oh, honestly, did you not read the colony policy that defines you as company property, that waivers your say in autonomy? Well, the conglomerate's got you in lock and key. We put the dollar back into idolatry. If you're upset, you can rent an apology. We are a family forged in bureaucracy. There's no I in team, but there's con in economy. Were you expecting adventure? Were you hoping for fun? Ah, my friend, you're indentured and pleasures exempt from your tenure, so venture back down to your slum. It's provided at generous prices. Your worth is determined by your sacrifices. A small term of service went down on the surface. Interment's a freebie that comes with the purchase. In other words, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Fluffenhammer.
Roll the music!
Fluffers, what is best in life?
Hello guys, it's been a while. Been a little bit of a while, but we had to come back to this.
Oh, yes. But, as always, I'm Adam. This is George.
Hey. Hello.
Now, George, what exactly were you doing with all these rituals and this symbols on the floor? It seems you've been trying to summon something.
Well, come on, I've always tried to summon something, Adam. You know, it's... I mean, there's so much going on at the moment. I need some sort of infernal protection at the moment. There's too many forces at play, I'm afraid.
It's
Many of which are rather antithetical to my own sort of occult shenanigans, so, you know, a little bit of demonic protection required.
Well, what's in this box over here that's in the centre of all of these markings? What's it?
It's not a head.
It's a very small box. Oh my god, it's Andy!
Ah, there we are.
A box of Andy.
How did you fit into such a small box?
If you mush people up enough, they'll fit into anything.
It's Andy in familiar form.
A tiny Andy.
I was going to say, what would Andy's familiar form be? That's what I want to know. After watching your Bloodborne Let's Play, Andy, I dread to think what it could be.
I'd hope I'd look as adorable as the 90s Zinch ones. You know, just carrying around books and stuff.
Yeah, that'd be great. I love the little cute familiars from the
Yeah.
1990s. The walking books and things. And
Yeah.
the fish with legs.
Well, I miss them. They were really darling.
You know,
I kind of like them too. I mean, the familiars still exist in like the rules. You can still actually get them in the rules.
Oh,
but...
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If you it depends on like what models contain them in their boxed sets. Like in the Thousand Sons, you can get a Terminator Sorcerer, yeah, and the Terminator Sorcerer traditionally has always had a little familiar on the model, so you can actually use it in the rules. And in that box set, I believe the familiar is like a tiny little imp with a cowl, and he's holding like a sword or a dagger or something. He's very cool, very cute.
That's nice.
You know the familiars from the Silver Tower?
Yeah,
Yes.
they're great.
So in the AOS rule sets, you can use them as dispels and misrolls. So you sacrifice them if you, say, roll for a spell, the spell doesn't work, you can sacrifice one of your familiars to get the spell to be an automatic success.
That's cool. I mean, you can even use them. You can use them in the normal Chaos Space Marine Codex.
Yeah.
There is a stratagem, the Chaos Familiar stratagem, and it's really bloody good, actually. What it allows you to do, if you spend your command point on it, it allows you to select a different psychic power for your sorcerer. So you can actually, in the middle of the game, change the psychic loadout.
Oh, wow. That's really useful.
Pretty good,
Yeah.
eh? Pretty damn good, gotta say.
So whilst we're recording today, what I'm going to do is I've got a picture of the moon-faced familiar from 90s Warhammer.
Yeah.
Oh,
Classic
yes.
Zeech. Classic Zeech.
And whilst we're didn't do that. And whilst we're recording today, I'm going to try and implant Andy's face onto this in the moon shape. So I'm going to get Andy's face. I'm going to try and contour it to fit into the moon
What,
area.
like surgically, occultly? How are we doing this?
Whittling, I think, is the answer.
It sounds like what we need is Fabulous Bill to be doing this, yeah?
There
I'm
are
sure
worse
he
things
could
he
do
could
it.
fashion me into, to be fair.
Yeah, there are. There really are.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever, slumps and crawls its way out of Fabius Bile's laboratoriums. Ooh. Ah. Don't want to know. By the by, speaking of, I'm sure we must have mentioned it before, but you know how there are like Clive Barker references all the way through, like the Fulgrim books, the Emperor's Children books?
Mm-hmm.
In Fulgrim, the creatures, like the spawn-like creatures that Bile creates are called Terrata. And Terrata is a reference to the Great and Secret show by Clive Barker. There's a guy called the Jaff who creates these monstrosities out of people's nightmares and dreads and dreams, and he calls them Terrata. It means a terrible birth.
Oh.
So, there you are. There's your little literary allusion for the day.
Oh, that's very cool. Thank you.
Yeah, it's cool, isn't it? It's fun, Graham McNeil, man, he's literate. He's well read.
Who would have thought it, eh?
yeah, who'd have thought it? Published author, writer. Who'd have thought that?
So how is everyone today? What fun things have everybody been up to? We'll start with George, because it's been a while since we've spoken to you, George. What hilarity have you been up to?
What hilarity have I been up to? Well, given present circumstances, which we don't want to go into too much, but largely just head down working.
Yeah.
Trying to cope with the current situation, by and large. Reading a hell of a lot, largely thanks to you, Adam. Largely thanks to you. I've had a lot of books come through, including Josh Reynolds' Dark Harvest. I like Josh Reynolds.
Yay.
I like Josh Reynolds a lot, I like his writing a great deal, and it's fun. It's really fun. It's very sort of like pulp fantasy horror in the vein of Michael Moorcock,
Yes.
which I kind of like. It's fun. It's got a real sort of like morbid atmosphere to it, which I like. It's got a sort of anti-hero who's the main character, who's a lot of fun as well. What was the other one you sent me? You sent me City of Secrets,
I did, yes,
didn't you?
yeah.
Which is also lots of fun. What I like about City of Secrets is that it establishes like a very functional fantasy setting.
Mm-hmm.
Where there's lots of particular rules and there's a culture, there's politics and whatnot. And it shows you how people live, how some people live anyway, in the AOS setting, which I like.
That's one of the things I really liked about Dark Harvest and City Secrets, actually, the thing that works in between them, is that you're getting an idea of how things happen that are nothing to do with the bigger story. There is no war against chaos. There is not the Sigmarite cult taking place.
Right.
These are people surviving.
These are more sort of contained stories. And I know that Dark Harvest is nominally labelled as part of Warhammer Horror.
It is,
isn't
yeah.
Yeah. And I can see that because the Warhammer Horror stories seem to have that about them. They aren't about the meta-narrative.
Yeah.
They're more contained stories. They're about the experiences of particular individuals, or like the effect that situations have on individual psychology. You certainly get that with the Warhammer 40k stories, and I really like that. That's kind of my bread and butter. That's what I really love. I also reread both of the currently existing Fabius Bile books.
Yeah,
which
getting ready for the next one.
Yeah, exactly. Getting ready, and also, of course, the imminence of Fabulous Bill coming back. Who I'm very, very excited about.
When is the next book meant to be coming out?
October this year.
Oh, really?
October
Okay, because it feels like a long time since the previous one came out.
It was actually. It was a long time, but I thought maybe it was dead. I thought maybe it had been axed. But no, Clone Lord is the next one, I believe. And that is due in October. There's a big hardback pre-order up on the Black Library as we speak, I believe.
I guess that's appropriate. Fabulous Bill coming out around Halloween-y time for another horror-y based book. That works.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense. And I mean, that for me, that's one of the most exciting up-and-coming releases this year. I can't wait to see the Phoenix Rising book that features Fabulous Bill and the miniature.
Mm-hmm.
The miniature, I mean, I love Abaddon. I think he's a great character, but I haven't been moved to purchase the miniature and paint him up yet. He's not as interesting to me as some of what I consider the lesser characters, like Fabulous Bill, Araman. Obviously, Araman.
Yeah.
Even like her on Blackheart. I love her on Blackheart. I'd like to see... I mean, his miniature's ailing a bit now. It's a little bit aged, but it's still pretty damn good.
What if I told you... I mean, this isn't going to happen, but what if they were going to make an Amon figure from the Talons of Horus?
Well... yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be good. That would be good fun. It ain't gonna happen, but you know.
Well, here's another question: how much of a connection do you think the Fabulous Bill third book will have connected to, obviously, what we're going to be talking about today?
Well,
If
it'll
any,
definitely be closer, won't it, to the imminent release? So I'd assume it's going to be tied to whatever narrative event brings about the eruption into what we're going to be talking about. You know, there must be something in the background, in the story, that brings Fabulous Bill back into prominence, because he's kind of been in absentia in the main background outside of Black Library books for a while now.
He has, yeah. He's kind of been sitting around, not really doing much in there.
Not much. You don't really know what he's been up to. For example, the whole Vigilus thing, he didn't turn up, so we don't really know what he was doing there. Cadia, there wasn't much about him in the Cadia books either.
That's a good point, actually. There wasn't, was there?
No, but from what we've got, the little snippets and tidbits and teasers that they've given us, what's apparently happening is he's going in the new Phoenix Rising book, which is called War of the Spider, because Fabius Bile is nominally known as the Spider. He's gone to the ruins of Cadia and is trying to establish a new base there, apparently.
Oh.
Like a new laboratory.
Oh.
But there are people who are not happy about it. Some of whom, one faction of which is the Death Guard, apparently. He's managed to piss off the Death Guard, so there you go.
That's probably not a good thing.
Not the best of ideas, really. Mind you, if you read the Fabius Bile books, there aren't many people he hasn't managed to get on the
very
nerves
true,
on.
actually, yeah.
There's lots of people who want him dead. Lots of people who want him dead. Including his own Primarch, you know. Fulgrim doesn't necessarily... Well, it's complex, isn't it? Fulgrim doesn't want Fabius dead. He wants Fabius yoked.
Yeah.
He wants him basically chained to his throne so that he can torment him. And Fabius can make wonderful monsters and abominations for Fulgrim's pleasure.
There's actually, thinking about it there, speaking of the Black Library, have you noticed the thing that snuck through from Black Library yesterday?
What's that?
So, let me just pull it back up again, because I didn't really...
I did notice that there's going to be like a new series of Black Library books.
There is, and this is something that, what you were just saying, I've just kind of clicked on. They were talking about how the Black Library and Games Workshop themselves are embedding a little bit more for the narrative going forward in 40k.
Right. Which is what you've just said. What is Fabius Bile's new book going to be about when it translates to what's happening in 40k now? And I think the answer is it's going to be something quite close. From what they were saying yesterday, they were talking a lot about how this new series... I can't remember what I called it last night, Andy. Was it Hat of Fire or something?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Right.
I couldn't remember for the life of me what it was actually called.
I wish it was called that.
Oh, well...
That sounds like the title of a Harry Potter book.
Harry Potter and the Hat of Fire.
Doesn't it?
Harry Potter and the Burning Itch. I'm just looking for it now. What was it called?
Well, from what I can gather, it looks like, because they are obviously running down the Horus Heresy / Solar Wars books now, we are getting towards the end of that whole thing. They're obviously going to be looking for the next big thing.
Dawn of Fire.
Because Dawn of Fire, there you go. Because the Horus Heresy books were enormous. I mean, the Horus Heresy books expanded the reach of 40k in ways that were never expected, you know? There are people who are fans of Games Workshop, not just because they read those books, yeah?
Yeah.
So it looks like what they're going to do is try and do the same, but with a present-day thing, which is something they should have done probably a while back. They really, after the massive focus on the Horus Heresy, the massive push for it, they need to do something similar with the present day novels.
Absolutely. What was the? I've never actually read the Beast Arises books. They've been on my list for a while now. Because they did a big chunk of past, didn't they? Like 12 episode. Good Lord, Adam! I'll speak English now. 12 episodic books that ran through a couple of thousand years, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean that's part of the problem when you're writing in the 40k universe, isn't it? It's such a massive time frame. You can write at different eras if you like. Like you could write during the Scouring, for example. That'd be quite fun. I'd like to see a series of books set during the Scouring when the what's left of the Imperium after the heresy organizes and chases off the straggling forces of chaos in the universe. That would be very interesting. Or what about the Fall? What about the Fall of the Eldari? There's an entire series of novels to be set there.
Absolutely.
The Comora, the history of Comora and the nodes in the webway. You know, there's just so much you could do. What about later on? What about like the various ages of the Imperium? Like there's that point in the Imperium where I can't remember his name. It's something like Van Dyer or something like that. He's the head of the ecclesiarchy and he rises to become the High Lord of Terror. But it turns out he's a chaos worshipper.
Yes.
And he instigates this massive civil war where there are loyalist Space Marine chapters and Adeptus Sororitas attacking Terra. Yeah?
Yeah.
So there's loads of stuff you could do there. Loads of stuff. Because that's an actual schisming of the Imperium that's happened before, but which has settled down at this point.
I think when it comes to Gorge Van Dyer, though... It's like a lot of things. It's like the stories of the Thunder Warriors. It's like there's tons and tons of things. I've got the same worry about going into something like that I had with the Forest Heresy, which is how much stuff do you really want to know?
Yeah, right. And how much do you just want to leave hanging so people can sort of weave it in their own imagination?
Exactly, yeah. I mean, if you try to explain everything, then you've got no choice but to explain the 2 missing legions.
Right. And that should never really happen,
never,
should it?
Never.
As much as people like speculate and, talk about how much they want it, it should never really happen because what could be that terrible? What the hell? I mean, when you consider that the traitor Primarchs are still known within certain areas of the Imperium, certainly by the Inquisition, they're still known. What the hell could those 2 legions have done that was that awful?
You know those moments where a joke passes through your mind and then you realise that there is no good way that you can say that joke and look like somebody that people should listen to? I just had one of those moments where I had to censor myself.
Yeah. It happens often, I must say, to me anyway. Happens very often.
No, usually I don't care, but that one was bad. That was bad. That was bad.
I love it.
That's for a non-recording session.
Oh, well, I think that's for, yes, that's very much for a safe space, But there's something else, from Black Library I found interesting, which snuck through. So and this is something that Andy will be interested in. There's 2...
Is it another Gotrek book?
It isn't.
Audiobook?
It isn't yet. But it's 2 things that very much interest me, which is that there's 2 more audiobooks coming out. Blackstone Fortress, at last!
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, I saw that. What is that just going to be about the board game, or is there going to be more to it? Is it just to give like fluff and setting for the board game?
It's the story of the board game. The book itself's actually really good.
Oh, okay.
It's got the best representation of the Kroot you'll ever see.
Yeah, it isn't bad, actually. No. They put a lot of effort into it. They really did. It could have just been a fluffy book,
Yeah.
Where it was just establishment all the way through. They were just establishing the setting, which actually, no, it's not bad. No, it's not bad at all.
Janus is a great character. I really like Janus. He's such a cock.
Right, yeah. And it's the establishment of like the fact that there are places in the Imperium where, or in the wider universe anyway, where the rules are a little bit laxer. Where you can actually have aliens, commingling with humanity and members of different sects and cults and things all just sort of together.
It returns to the idea of Lucky Space from the Ravenor series, which is something I just kind of want to go back to Lucky Space, because Ravenor's a really good series of books, but it doesn't fit within the average idea of 40k, and it's really annoying.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because it's a throwback to original 40k, of course, where this was the status quo. You did actually have, originally, I mean, you had Eldar and human hybrids back then.
You had Eldar Space Marines.
Yeah, you had Eldar Space Marines back then. Yeah.
Could you do that in this? Could you do that now with the? I guess the concern about doing that now might be considered too similar to AOS's cities. With the intermingling like the dark
Right.
elves and the good elves and humans
Right.
and all the other species. Maybe there would be a concern of mushing too close to that.
Yeah.
Well, there's space for it. In the 40k universe, there's space for it. I mean, if you look at places like Comora, for example, now you wouldn't think it, but that Comora, the city of the Drukhari, the Dark Elder, is actually pretty cosmopolitan compared to, say, the Eldari craft worlds. The Eldari craft worlds are completely xenophobic. You would not get a member of another species wandering around on an Eldari craft world. They just kill them instantly. The Drukhari, not that bothered. There's actually entire nodes of Comora that are populated by aliens and mutants and non-Drukhari. They don't mind so much. I mean, they do consider themselves vastly superior, obviously, and they consider other species to be cattle, basically. But they are not as xenophobic as the Craftworld Eldari. Interesting, eh?
It is. It really is.
I mean, to the point whereby you get the Court of the Archons, of course, and the Court of the Archons is made up primarily of aliens. You get like Slythe and Urgles and whatnot, which are alien creatures. It's just an odd thing to me. The army, the race that's portrayed as more negative in the background, and believe me, they are negative. They're damn evil. You know, they're just completely. Their entire culture is sadism, cruelty, treachery, and all of that. But they are not as xenophobic as the ostensibly more positive Craftworld Eldari, the Ajayani.
Well, that's the thing about 40k, isn't it? And it's always been the thing that the guys that you would look from the outside looking in, thinking, oh, so they're the good guys.
Right.
Yeah, they're not.
Well, look at it this way. I mean, this is the way to look at it. Contextually, the Astra Militarium and the Space Marine chapters and the Adeptus Sororitas are beyond anything, any genocide or pogrom, say, the Nazis could ever conceive of.
Mm-hmm.
They make the Nazis look like a schoolyard gang. These guys obliterate entire cultures and worlds on a whim, on a hint of suspicion of deviance or treachery or heresy or whatever. So yeah, these guys who are portrayed as being the good guys, they're basically big Ubermensch Nazis.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're really nasty creatures. They're not good guys at all.
I would say you can kind of see why they would go down that road as well. The universe has kind of pummeled the human race for a while now,
right?
There aren't many peaceful alien races out there.
Oh God, no! Don't get me wrong. They're all Nazis, not just the Imperial. It's Nazis all the way down. That's the 40k universe. So you've got the Eldari, as we mentioned, the Craftworld Eldari. Now they are xenophobic to the nth degree. Again, like the Imperium, they will massacre entire races. They will actually, if you look at the Eldari, like Ulthwé, for example, the Black Craft World. They read the strands of future. Their entire culture is based around their Farseers. So what they do is they read the strands of the future, and they will actively stop the evolution of entire species if it benefits the Eldari. They are awful, awful people. You know, they will commit mass genocide if they feel it will benefit the Eldari to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, really, some of the most positive races in the 40k universe,
the Tau,
are the Tau. Again, it's that whole greater good thing. They're still genocidal.
Oh yeah.
They're still totally genocidal. The orcs, at least it's not ideological with them.
No.
You know what I mean? They don't kill other species because they believe themselves superior. They just kill other species because they enjoy it.
And
they were made that way.
Yeah, and to prove
they don't have a choice.
It's fun. You know, it's fun.
So, from what you're saying there is then that the only two races in the entirety of the 40k universe which you can classify as good guys, so to speak, is the orcs and the Tyranids. The
Tyranids, yeah, because the Tyranids, again, aren't driven by any kind of ideological belief or something. They have no choice. They function on biological imperatives, so they don't have any choice in the matter. Yeah, it's a fascinating ethical discussion, but then again, that's what the 40k universe was designed as. I mean, it's inspired heavily in its inception. It's inspired heavily by 2000 AD, by Judge Dredd, like massively, and it's the same basic satire. You know, the whole satire of Judge Dredd is that he is a jackbooted Nazi. You know, the only way they could make Judge Dredd seem like not even a good guy, but just sort of dilute him in some way, is by introducing a character who believes that he's so extremist, who believes all life is a crime.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's the central irony of the Imperium as well. It is designed explicitly to be satire in terms of how extreme it is. The fact that there are people out there who don't get that, for whom the exegesis is difficult, that worries me.
I saw a thing earlier this week, actually. I'm not going to get too deep into that one, but I thought it was interesting. And it was an argument on a group about somebody complaining about and I use the term lightly, SG warriors, SJW people infecting 40k.
Yes. The minute someone uses that term, then you're out.
Yeah.
You know, you're out. It's like, go away.
What I found really interesting, somebody responded with, if you don't like that kind of mentality, stop playing 40k, because that's the people who created it, you dingbat.
Exactly. If you go back and actually read the interviews with the guys who created 40k, they talk about this explicitly. Yeah. They talk about the satire inherent explicitly, and they thought people would get it. Mm-hmm. It's so ridiculously extreme. Of course it's a satire. You know, the Imperium actively lobotomizes entire populations to turn them into sort of cyborg servitors whose only purpose is to perform their function and die.
Yep.
That's the Imperium. That's the Imperium. You know, it is not a good place to be. But yeah, like a lot of satire, it kind of falls on deaf ears. You know, satire only works if people understand it. That's the irony of it. And if you don't understand it, then you get this Dunning-Kruger effect where people take it literally. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing you get with Rick and Morty. It's the same thing you get with Fight Club, for example. You know, people misunderstand Fight Club consistently. It's a real problem. It's a real issue with regards to the way our cultures currently work. You know, satire doesn't really work anymore.
Well, no, because the real world's so bloody stupid. But yeah, we're not getting into that.
Anywho, yes.
So there's another thing actually from Black Library which I found interesting. Then we're going to go and scoop out big chunks of the insides of Andy's brain. Which is that the next of the Ghost series is coming along.
What book is this now?
Necropolis. So Necropolis is coming out on audiobook.
Okay,
is that book 3?
Yes,
4?
3.
Okay.
So it
out of how many?
27. I don't know.
Oh God. Okay.
I think it's 12 to be honest.
Right.
My God, those books are long running. Aren't they? They've been like enshrined for a long time now.
Well, Gaunt's Ghosts is the 40k Slayer series.
Right. And it really, I mean, do you remember when they first came out and they redefined what was then the Imperial Guard? Yeah. Completely redefined it as to how it was portrayed in the game and in even the miniatures. They even influenced the way the miniatures were designed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Dan Abnett took the, what was the Imperial Guard at that point, and he turned them into something fascinating.
Much more interesting.
Yeah.
Much more interesting.
The entire idea of the Commissar became something very, very interesting as well.
They became like the beating heart and soul of the army, didn't they?
Well, it took them from being the two-dimensional, we'll shoot you because you're looking like you're going to run. And
right, because you looked at them funny.
Yeah, and between this and the Cyphers Kane books, it turned them into people. You got to find out how they got to this point. The training that they went to, which in some ways is up there with the Astartes training to remove the humanity out of people.
Well, they are psychopaths, aren't they? They are literally. That's the psychological template that the Imperium looks for. It actively looks for that psychological template when it comes to like cultivating new commissars. Because they cannot regard human beings as human.
No.
They just can't, because they're going to be expected to execute a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, look at the one from the Wicked and the Damned. Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
And you get to see what happens to people when they've been through that training. They're
right.
They're not right.
They're not entirely stable human beings, are they?
No!
Not entirely stable.
Sometimes they see things.
Sometimes their world is a little bit warped. And the thing about the 40k universe, if someone has skewed perceptions, that can so easily become literally true.
Mm-hmm.
Because the metaphysics of the 40k universe is such that, yeah, it can actually have an effect on physical reality. So you want to watch that.
Absolutely. So,
are you suggesting that commissars are more susceptible to chaos corruption then, if they're able to see things and be manipulated that way?
It's possible. I mean, I don't think they're more susceptible. I think there's something about the commissar mindset that generally makes them rather immune to it. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, under certain circumstances, they can break, and the one in Wicked and the Damned really, really does. I mean,
certainly.
It's not that they're the more susceptible to outside influences. I think they're more susceptible to inside corruption. Things like psychosis taking place. Various mental issues really destroying what was the man inside. And I think that's what makes them interesting, that there's this entire metaphysics that takes place in 40k where there's the alien without.
Yeah.
But the commissars are one of those people that really have to be concerned about the corruption within.
They're eternal demons, because it can so easily, their position can so easily be turned, can't it, to chaos worship, even without them knowing, or rather not worship, but corruption.
Yeah.
Just without them knowing, just insidiously, yeah? I mean, a commissar turning to corn, say, well, that's a very clear path, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a very clear path.
Yeah, you can certainly see how that would take place.
Or even Nurgle, because like the despair of their position.
Mm-hmm.
If you get a commissar who starts to feel guilty about what they do, or starts to question what they do, that could turn to Nurgle so quickly.
It could go to Slanesh really quickly, as in sexually enjoying what they're doing.
Right, if they sort of fetishize what they do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like the hunt for corruption, for people kind of going against what they should be doing as orders. There's quite a lot of easy drops into chaos.
Yeah,
it's so easy to fall to chaos.
Yeah. I mean,
well, in the 40k universe, it's so easy. You may as well just go for it.
Yeah. Is that your mindset, George? Just go for it.
If I were in the 40k universe, then yeah, that would be my mindset, because there's no point in resisting it. There's as I think Adam and I have discussed this before, there is literally no point in resisting it. At the very least, chaos in the 40k universe offers some potential. You know, your only other option is to be a slave who is tormented forever and then die. That's your own, and even then, you're going to be consumed by chaos anyway, because that's what happens to souls in the 40k universe. If you die, you go to the warp and you become part of what the vortices of potential that are the chaos powers. You know, your soul is literally torn apart by chaos. So the opportunity for immortality under one of the chaos powers, may as well take it. Especially if you're going for, say, Slanesh worship or something, or Nurgle worship for that matter, because at least they enjoy it.
Okay. I've got a hypothetical situation for you both then.
Mm-hmm.
So there you are, one day, you're walking down your hab block, and in front of you there are 3 roads, right?
Mm-hmm.
One road has a Cornate symbol. One road has a Nurgilian symbol.
Mm-hmm.
And the third road is just a load of gene stealers waving their tongues at you wearing lingerie.
How much were they birthed with the lingerie, or did they just happen to find it in the store?
No, it's just like stockings and suspenders, or
it's store bought. Okay.
When you say gene stealers, do you mean like hybrids? So are they like sort of human, or are they actually like pure strain?
No, I'm going pure,
like a Carnifex.
I'm going pure strain.
So pure strain gene stealers, all right.
Second edition Carnifex.
You mean a screamer killer?
Yep.
Oh my! With the scythe arms,
high heels.
Actually, he's already got the high heels, hasn't he? You could just paint up the model, give him some lipstick and whatnot, and he's well away. Isn't he?
You put some holes in his hooves, fill them with water, and put some goldfish in there.
Do you guys remember that bloody model?
Oh yeah.
Do you remember?
Oh yeah.
when someone put that down on the tabletop in second ed and it was like, bets are off, it's going to kill everything. That thing could wade through greater demons, it could wade through anything. It was unbelievable back then.
Well, it was built to be a tank killer. And because it was a tank killer and the way the system worked at the time, it just devoured everything.
Everything!
It
was also a pain in the arse to put together.
Oh, yeah, that's how I learned to paint.
It was metal, yeah. Unfortunately, like most of the
metal
Tyranids
sides, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Still the best designs for Tyranids.
That's my hypothetical question. So which route do you go? Do you go Khornate, do you go Nergillion, or do you go with the Gene Stealers?
Given that choice, since there's no Slaanesh option...
No,
there is a Slaanesh
that's on purpose.
option. Okay, there is a Slaanesh option. No, it would have to be... Yeah, I'd go for the Gene Stealers,
okay. Though. At least you...
Would you go for them just out of pure curiosity? Is that what it is?
Well, it would be under the hope that is sort of like a Slaanesh-y kind of temptation, you know? Or a test or something, under that hope. If it were literally just Gene Stealers, then I'd go for the Nurgle door.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, you know, once you pass through the inevitable suffering that's part of Nurgle, then you come out the other side, assuming you survive, really happy. Like really happy with your position and content in what you know. So who cares, you know?
It's true, actually. Yeah, I mean, if you're going to go Nurgle, you might as well enjoy yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah. Nurgle does. I mean, the followers of Nurgle generally do. It's a bitter, ironic kind of enjoyment that they get, but they are happy in this very weird way.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of the psychology of Nurgle. When it twists and corrupts the perspectives of those that Nurgle blesses, so that they eventually come to regard things like disease and decay and disgrace as genuine and beautiful and laudable. So, you know, why not? Go for it. And again, Nurgle genuinely cares.
He does.
Nurgle genuinely cares about his followers. He's one of the few Chaos Gods that does.
What about you, Andy? Which way are you going to go?
The Nurgle one is the happier option, definitely, and you'd probably feel a lot more fulfilled with your life.
Yeah.
Khorne is a good one to push yourself if you want to strive to be the best. Then Khorne's the one to go for. Especially if you're a physical activities kind of person,
right,
you like running and jumping and playing with
it's
ribbons.
It's the athletic option.
Yeah, exactly. If you're a sporty kid at high school, I think Khorne would be the one for you. Nurgle's my kind of lad. He's the kind of guy you'd sit in front of the TV with a bucket of popcorn. Rotten popcorn, but popcorn.
Popcorn nonetheless, yeah.
The Tyranid one, I would just be confused by. I'd want to send like a skull probe, a servo skull, just to go down there and just see what's going on.
I'm sort of hoping it's like a Slaaneshi metaphor, and then that's fine. That's fine. I'd go for the Slaanesh door, definitely.
Right, so Andy, is there anything that you've been up to this week?
Oh, okay, yeah. There's the left deviation turn. Yeah, I've been doing a few bits and bobs. I've been playing the DLC for Total War Warhammer 2, the Warden and the Paunch,
yeah.
Paunch, yeah. Paunching
the Paunch!
I haven't tried the Warden yet, but I have been punching it up. So the rework on the Orcs is really good. They're actually a playable faction now in the game, and they're not stuck. Because they were Total War Warhammer 1 faction, and they've just kind of been shunted over. So they had none of the hero upgrades. They had the old tech tree. And the old tech tree locked out the rock throwers and the doom divers, so you couldn't actually... It was probably the only tech tree that locked out troops that you had to research to get them, which was bizarre.
Yeah, that's odd, isn't it?
So it made siege battles incredibly difficult, where the best strategy for a siege fight was to camp at a side, destroy a tower, and then blob your units to just swarm over that side of the wall. Otherwise, they'd be taken down very, very quickly by tower attacks, which are very powerful. So you don't need to worry about that anymore. Grom's got a great new mechanic where if he fills specific goals, he gets new ingredients to add to the pot. And when you combine two ingredients together, they will give him and his army a benefit increase. So if you use like a harpy head and a goblin foot, you can combine it together, and Grom himself will get like unbreakable, so he won't run away in combat. and he'll get like maybe a buff to his attack, and then his army will get stuff like goblin archers will now fire explosive arrows, which is incredible to see. And you'll get other things like they'll get the frenzy passive on them and stuff like that, and there are a few different kind of ones you can go for, and as you learn more recipes and eat more of these things, Grom generally gets more powerful. So he starts off at starving, so he gets like 5% to health. Then you get him a bit fatter, and you get 5% to health plus an extra Goblin War Boss plus something else, and it kind of goes up like that. So you're incentivized to do these things like fight the vampire counts at sea to get something like a Kraken Claw. You're incentivized to raid and loot elf places. There's line mains, so you have to kill the new unit, which for the elves is the what the lions called? I can't remember off the top of my head.
Guard.
Do you know what? Lions Guard, thank you. Yes, if you kill some Lions Guards.
Oh, the White Lions. Sorry, the White Lion. It's the
the White Lions.
Yeah, Dragon's Guard and the White Lions. That's the one.
Yeah. See, I was thinking White Lions, but isn't that what the unit is called? The elf unit rather than the actual lions.
Oh, right.
You know
I see
what
what
I mean?
you're saying.
Yeah.
Oh,
because there's the White Lions, and then there are also elf units which are lions who are indeed white.
oh, I don't know what they're called.
Yeah, it's like, I know what you mean, but I
they
cannot think
they
of
also
called.
pull chariots as well.
Yeah,
no, me neither, because again, I haven't played as the Warden, so
I was going to say the White Lions are one of those old Hammer units that everybody remembers because they were hard as nails.
Yeah, they're a mid-tier unit. The ones that you go for the high elves are like the Phoenix Guard. Phoenix Guard are where it's at. Actually, Shadow Warriors are a pain in the bum because they've got stalk, so they can go invisible quite a lot. So yeah, it's so far like heavily it feels like this DLC pack was primarily to boost up the orcs, and then the elves already had most of the good stuff, so it's kind of like a few little bits here and there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm very, very impressed with how it's going so far. You also get Food Trader, which is the river troll hag. So you'll go up to her and you'll be like, yeah, she'll be like, make me something special, and you can open up more variety to your menu, or you can buy an ingredient off her, or you can get money and scrap. Scrap can be used to upgrade your basic troops by one of two options. Like for the Goblin Archer, increasing their armor-piercing damage by 400%, which is insane. Whoa. It actually makes the Goblin Archer useful, because they were terrible. Or you can give them... what was the other thing? Like a reload, like 25% faster reload. So stuff like that. It makes the entire orc army more versatile and more unique compared to how they used to be.
Yeah.
It's great. The Warden has his own things, which his main gimmick is you can, if you kill an enemy lord and you use an ability on them, you can capture them and put them in his prison. Which is there, you can upgrade that prison to do a few other things, but you can interrogate them to send them back out into the world, and you'll gain, I think, influence and money through that, or you can kill them to give your lord and all of your other lords under your command just extra experience boost. So it's still a neat idea. It's just not nearly as interesting as what they've done with Grom.
Yeah.
And they've worked out all the other heroes. So Grimgor's got a brand new model, so he doesn't look like Shrek anymore, which is good. Because he looked big, but he wasn't huge. Now he's massive.
Yeah.
Grimgor's a monster, and he's been reworked as well. So he's a hero killer. He's a monster on the field now. So I've been doing a lot of that. Total War Warhammer 2. Who knew? It's pretty good. And each upgrade, each download does something interesting. So it's not like a basic like we cut this out of the game. It feels like they've actually done something to it.
Yeah. It's additions rather than things they're just selling back to you.
Yeah. Whereas in the first Warhammer, Total War Warhammer game, it kind of was like the very first one was the Chaos faction, which was literally cut content because it wasn't a fleshed out faction. There was the Blood DLC where you bought it and it actually added in blood and decapitations and stuff like that.
That sucks, doesn't it?
It was pretty gross. Like it was a cheap one. It was like £3, but it's like, it should have been in the game.
Should be in the game, you know?
Yeah. And even the army upgrade updates, like you got the Beastman faction, the Wood Elves, and Nausicaa, and I think there might have been another one. Nausicaa was the only one that was interesting. The other armies were fine, but the Beastmen were just the Chaos warriors, but not as good.
Right. So they hadn't given them any like specific character or anything like that.
No. That's the problem with Total Warhammer 1. Not a lot of the armies felt like they had a lot of character to them. Now in Total War 2, they have been updating some of them. Like the Empire can now work as the Empire instead of having to kill everything to make the human empire. It was a mess. It was a mess. So it's definitely a slow process, but you can see how the company has kind of evolved and made the game better over time, and I'm sure they'll do that for Total War 3 as well when it comes out.
I've always been surprised with Games Workshop. It's sort of a similar thing I have with like franchises like Transformers, for example, that there's never been a video game adaptation of it that's absolutely blown everyone away. That's dropped and has completely changed everything, because the potential is there, isn't it?
Certainly, yeah. But
it just never seems to happen.
I was going to say War for Cybertron was a masterpiece. Thank you very much.
War for Cybertron. It was all right.
Fall of Cybertron was better, though.
That's what I meant. Sorry, Fall of Cybertron.
Yeah. It's one of those games where I don't like the game it's based on. So Gears of War, I'm not a fan. So I liked what they did with the world, and but things like, for example, the transformation. What's the point of it? There's absolutely no point in the game. They don't make enough of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just didn't do it for me. I thought the world building was great. The world building was beautiful, and like the voice acting and whatnot, absolutely stunning. The portrayal of characters like Omega Supreme and Trypticon, really cool. But the game itself, I just found annoying.
I think in terms, like, I'm guessing that's just based on what you enjoy as a video game more so than a detriment.
It is more based on what I enjoy as a video game, because it is that I'm not a fan of that whole just like run, stop, shoot, run, stop, shoot, run, stop, shoot thing.
Yeah, totally.
That doesn't do it for me.
I guess a problem with these franchises is, for the most part, at least these two, like, they've had good games, but they haven't had amazing games.
Amazing games, that's it. And I don't understand why, because the potential is huge, isn't it? It is genuinely huge.
I think the problem with Transformers is it's a children's property.
Right.
And thus, who wants to invest in a children's property? That is usually how I imagine it would go in a boardroom meeting.
Right.
And with Games Workshop, it's a British company that's big, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it's not like Final Fantasy or anything like that. No. So how much do you really want to invest in a game? So I think Total War is probably their biggest game, and then the next, I guess, is Space Marine.
Yeah.
Dawn of War. Don't forget Dawn of War.
Dawn of War.
Yeah. It was actually pretty damn good. Yeah.
That was very good. Yeah. Apart from Soulstorm, which was terrible. Yes. You get Soulstorm to get the Apocalypse DLC. Not DLC mod, sorry.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right then.
And I've been painting as well.
Oh, we've been painting.
I've been painting some Nighthorns, because I've been bullied, I feel, into finally getting back in and actually doing some painting.
I saw your Nighthorns on the Fluffenhammer. They look really good.
Thank you.
They do. They look great. That spectral paint scheme that you've got going on, is that easy to do?
I mean, that's just the Nighthorn Gloom and Hexwraith Flame.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And those ones that you're thinking about is a long time ago. I'm doing the exact same technique again. I'm just hoping to be cleaner this time, because it's been
very effective.
A long time. I think the last time I painted was a few months before your bachelor party, Adam, because I was getting stuff ready for taking Shadespire down.
Oh yeah, which we didn't really get a chance to play.
No, we briefly played it, but not a huge amount. We were too busy playing. Not Relic. Talisman.
Yeah. Talisman, Hero Quest, and what else we played? Well, Blackstone Fortress.
Yes.
Oh, Blackstone. God, I'm evangelistic about that game. We're just getting so many people into it. It's so good.
And a bit of the Dark Souls game as well.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
the board game. Yeah.
Oh, is it good?
It's interesting. It's slow. It's very slow. It's I'm trying to remember, because it was so long
a year
ago
now.
played it.
Yeah.
it's dense. We spend a long time just going, okay, how do we play this? Right.
So a bit like
okay,
the video
read the
game
rules.
then, yeah.
What's that? Yeah,
Bit like the
very
video
much like
game,
a video game. Yeah, it was dense. There was a lot of stuff to kind of take in and going, is this how we do it? I guess this is how we do it. Okay. Okay, we'll try it.
And there is a Bloodborne one as well, isn't there?
I didn't know that. I wouldn't be surprised.
There is a Bloodborne game as well. That would be fun. I wonder if it's faster paced, just like Bloodborne, the video game, is compared to Dark Souls.
Yeah, you'd hope so.
You'd certainly hope so, wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah.
So, shall we get on to talking about the things that happened yesterday, then?
Oh, God, yeah, let's. I mean, there's lots going on here. Always very exciting.
So, first and foremost, new 40k got announced.
Yay! Yeah, right. I mean, it looks like it's going to be... Do you remember the transition from 6th ed to 7th ed?
Yes.
It looks like it's going to be more that, doesn't it? You know, where they take the base rules and they just sort of like embellish them and add little bits in here and there.
I think it's got a lot more to do with how AOS turned from AOS to Soul Wars.
Right.
Yeah, it looks like it's taken the base of what they already had for 8th edition, and they've made 8.5. You know, they've taken that, they've made it, they've tidied it up, they've seen the problems it's got, and they've made it into something else. But there's a lot of stuff here that really interests me, which is a weird thing to say.
Me too. The narrative campaign stuff that already exists in AOS, obviously. Just brilliant. That's kind of what I've been wanting in 40k for a long time. More role-playing elements. Stuff where it's more like, ironically, like the first edition of 40k.
Yeah.
You know, where you chained your games together and it became narrative. I'm so up for that. So up for that.
Well, for ages now, I've wanted to try and do organise a weekend 40k battle. I was talking about this a couple of weeks back, where you just have like 8 tables, an entire city, and you're taking a small team and working your way through to try and find the mysteries of the city.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to try and learn the entirety of the Inc. 28 system to do it, and then they announced the Crusade system, and it's like, all right, there we go, problem solved.
There you are, sorted, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And have you read any of the specifics about what's changed, the little things they've introduced?
Tanks are now worth it.
Yes, tanks can now basically just, run over anything that's in their way, you know? Shooting into combat is a great idea, because of course a tank could do that. Of course it could. Explosive weapons.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good idea. You know, because one of the things that suffer in 8th ed are blast weapons of any description. They're not that good.
No.
Really.
What made them bad?
Well, the way they work is it used to be the case way back when that you'd put a template down and basically whatever the template covered or half covered was hit.
Oh, you mean the big cardboard discs?
Yeah, or plastic discs or whatever. The way it works in 8th ed is dice-based, which is good because it condenses it down. You don't need as much stuff. The problem is when you're firing like this big-ass battle cannon that's cost God knows how many points, that's on this big multi-legged demon engine, and all it keeps doing is killing on average 3 models. It's not really worth it, because the way they tend to work is you roll a die 6, and that's how many hits you get with it, or that's how many shots you can take with it, to demonstrate the how many models it actually hits with the blast. It doesn't really work that well. This looks like it's going to fix that.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like it's actually going to make things like that worthwhile, and
right.
Yeah, instead of being an also ran and having to throw a little bit of imagination into what's going on here.
It sounds like it's going to make certain things really worth it as well. I imagine that some psychic powers, quite a few psychic powers, will have this explosive ability. Knights and titans and that kind of thing are going to be well worth it now, because they're going to be able to obliterate entire units in a turn. Things like demolishers and vindicators and defilers. Defilers are going to get a shot in the arm from this, I imagine, because the battle cannon will be one of the main things that obviously benefits from this.
Mm-hmm. What about the narrative then? What about the narrative interests you guys the most? Because I've got some really interesting stuff there that has sprung out at me.
What about the what they're going to do going forward with 40k?
Yeah.
There's so much. I mean, they introduced like lots of different pinpoints, didn't they, about what could potentially happen. They even suggested there may be like a schism, like a proper schism in the Imperium. If that happens, I will be so happy.
You guys have been talking and kind of hoping for something like that for a while, though, haven't you?
Yeah, well, I think it needs to happen.
The Imperium status quo needs to be shaken up.
Yeah.
Massively. The Imperium status quo has been the same way since, well, Rogue Trader, hasn't it, really?
Pretty much. I mean, the thing that's shifted it the most is obviously Cadia, the Cicatrix Maledictum, and the resurrection of Guilliman has shaken things up a little bit. But that, I think, needs to be emphasized a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
I want there to be like this sense that Imperium Nihilus and the other side of the Imperium are very separate from one another and are like evolving in different ways and are maybe developing in different ways. I want there to be more war between the Imperial factions. That's what I want. I want there to be factions of the Ecclesiarchy and the Adeptus Sororitas who have religious differences with other sub-factions and subsects and go to war with them. I want there to be like inquisitorial ordos that are philosophically opposed to other inquisitorial ordos and try to undermine them.
Mm-hmm. Something that's
Space
not just
Marine
in the
chapters.
book, something that's actually in the
game.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And, Imperial Space Marine chapters that are philosophically very different from all the other. Like, it's already there. You've got like the Black Templars and the Ultramarines are Antipodean now.
Mm-hmm.
They're Antipodean. I mean, I can't imagine Guilliman, being the secularist that he is, gets on very well with the Black Templars.
No, you can't see it, can you?
Really can't. I mean, in his eyes, the Black Templars are as corrupt as the Word Bearers were way back when, you know? Mm. So, in fact, they're going down the same path, aren't they?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean,
it's why Monarchia was destroyed by the Ultramarines. I mean, come on, this is complex stuff. I mean, I do wonder how characters like Guilliman operate with regards to the Black Templars and whatnot, and I want to see a bit more of that.
So, if there is a schism takes place, and I'm asking you this, George, because I know that you've been reading the Psychic Awakening stories.
Oh, yes, very much so.
And I haven't really had the chance to do so, unfortunately.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
It's one of those annoying things where I keep meaning to, and then...
don't get round to it, yeah?
Yeah, then life happens.
Yeah, and there's a lot of them now.
Yeah. So, using what you've read there, what is your feeling for where 40k is going to go?
It feels like there's going to be an event.
Okay.
It feels like it's building towards something very specific, which is the Psychic Awakening itself, where there's going to be like a sort of like a metaphysical explosion.
Okay.
Something is going to happen to humanity and to the psychically inclined species in the universe, where there are more of them. Mm-hmm. There's just more psychers everywhere, and psychers. It's going to be a bit like what happened with what happened in AOS, basically, where there is going to be this big event where psychic powers just become much more common and much more potentially destructive. I think when the 9th Ed 40k comes out, you're going to get the equivalent of endless spells in 40k.
I wonder what that's going to look like.
I imagine it'll be pretty similar. Mm-hmm. It'll be pretty similar, because some even carry over. I mean, if you look at, like, say, the endless spells from the Disciples of Zeech, well, you can just transplant those over to the Thousand Suns. Done.
Yeah, okay.
Easy
that's
peasy,
a good point,
you know? Easy peasy. I think that's what it's going to be, a similar system, you know, where it's model-based rather than abstract.
Mm-hmm.
That would be my guess, anyway. It looks like, from what we've seen, that the Adeptus Sororitas are going to take a much more prominent role.
Yeah.
Which is always a good thing, because they're great. Nuns with guns.
Nuns, guns, and gasoline.
Yeah, and also, I mean, if the videos are anything to go by, it looks like you're going to be able to, like, I imagine the keyword system is going to get a bit of a shake-up. I think they're going to make it looser. I think they're going to make it more like AOS, you know, where it doesn't really matter. As long as you've got, like, a keyword in common, you can throw whatever you like together. I think
it
that's
might
what it's
be
going to
really
be.
interesting to see a mix of Space Marine, Imperial Guard, and Sisters of Battle all on one table.
Right,
anything that's
because
got the
why
Imperium
not?
keyword.
Yeah, why not?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's how these forces work in the background, isn't it?
Oh yeah, and
If you...
what's interesting about saying that is that if you look at the thing that's coming out, the box set that'll be coming out for this, if you read between the lines, it looks like it's going to be Space Marine Sisters of Battle versus the Necrons.
Right, so it's a three-way one, yeah?
Well, I think it's going to be an allied
interesting.
force versus a Necron force.
Right, and I like that, because really, in the background, that's how the Space Marines tend to operate, you know?
It is, yeah.
You actually very rarely see entire Space Marine battalions deployed, because they're rare. I think there's like 1 million human beings in the galaxy for every one Space Marine, isn't there?
A million, yeah.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. You know, the numbers are absolutely absurd. So what you would get, and even when it comes to the Primaris Space Marines, who are obviously going to get a big push in ninth. Obviously, I imagine most of the Space Marine releases after ninth ed, they'll be Primaris. They won't be normal Space Marines.
Yeah,
there won't be many.
We're seeing them. The normal Space Marines. They're not going to get rid of the rules for them because that would just be silly. But they are going to just cut them out now.
They'll just slowly sort of phase them out as time goes on, naturally, you know?
And you know what?
Which is fine.
I'm happy with that, because
it's fine.
I've actually come to really like the Primaris.
Yeah, the Primaris are kind of what the Space Marines should have been from the beginning anyway, so it's fine.
The reason that I really like the Primaris is because of that Belisarius Call book.
Yeah.
Where that Marine's just like, you said I was going to be a hero, and then you tortured me for 3 millennia.
Right. The Primaris they are interesting as characters, aren't they? Because I find it really interesting in the fiction when you get the Primaris coming into established chapters, and they don't really get on with them very well.
No,
they might share the right. Space Wolves, Dark Angels don't like them very much.
Oh no.
It's interesting, the tensions that sets up for narrative purposes. Really interesting. I like that a lot myself. And the new models are great, I've got to say. I really, that chaplain looking dude. Very cool. Very cool. And the new Assault Primaris are very nice as well.
There's a load of them that I'm really interested in.
Yeah, I mean,
gotta keep
in narrative terms, I just hope they do something to really shake it up. I want to see AOS level events, you know? Yeah. That's what I want to see.
So that's the Imperium, but there's something slightly more interesting than the Imperium going on here, which I think is going to be the meat and potatoes of this episode. Yeah, so the Necrons are looking like they're going to get a bit of an overhaul.
Wow, massive push.
Just a slight little change, you know?
And really, it's about time, isn't it? I mean, the poor old Necrons, they were once upon a time like the poster boys. They were the new race, and they were kind of exciting, but they've never had the push that they need.
Yeah.
Even when, like, they've had new codices and new miniatures ranges, it's tended to be a bit lackluster generally, you know? It hasn't had that, like that explosive feeling of this is an event, this is something really special, this is changing the status quo of the 40k universe. And that may be something to do with the background, because they are this sort of sleepy kind of just rising race from the past. Yeah, they're kind of, they wake up very slowly and they're scattered all over. They generally kind of confused, you know. But now, what it looks like is they're going to explode. Yeah. It looks like they're going to wake up across the universe. And you have to bear in mind, the Necrons once ruled the entire universe. They dominated every inch of existing reality. So their tombs are everywhere. If they all start to wake up at once, it's going to be a problem for not just the Imperium, but every race in existence.
Do you think we might have a narrative where a tomb opens up on Earth, on Terra, and we have like a Siege of Terra 2.0? But
can you imagine?
That would be ace. I'd love to see that.
And the Necrons start coming in from the old webway that the Emperor was trying to create.
Oh my god!
Kind of coming up from the center of the Imperial, Imperial Palace.
It wouldn't be on Earth. It would be on Mars.
Oh, Mars.
They'd be on Mars, wouldn't they? Of course,
yeah, that'd be
they
cool.
would.
Creating a giant civil war on Mars.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be good.
That would be ace. That would be absolutely brilliant. The stirring of the Void Dragon. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting. And have you seen, you know that picture that was released, the grainy little picture that shows you almost all of the new releases?
Yeah.
There seems to be a giant flying winged figure in the upper right-hand corner.
Yep.
That looks like it may be a new Catan shard of some description.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder what that's going to be. The Void Dragon shard, maybe?
Maybe.
Are we assuming it's a Necron, or is it a like Necronized Catan?
I think it's a Catan. I may be wrong, but it looks like it's got the feeling of a Catan about it. You know, it may not be. It may be something else, but it looks like a Catan.
Stupid grainy pictures.
Stupid grainy pictures. But there's lots of fun stuff in that picture. The sort of floating tendril things, the jellyfish things. I love them. Love them to bits.
It looks like
I wonder how similar they are to the four-legged big things, which I think Kirioth named as a reanimator or something like that.
Right, okay.
I love that name.
So presumably they're going to be scurrying around the battlefield repairing down Necron units. That would be my guess.
I imagined, like, if it is called a reanimator, it doesn't look like a heavy hitter, so maybe it works sort of like a corpse cart. From AOS, where it just does an AoE kind of buffing,
like a buff,
or healing or something.
That would be my guess. That would definitely be my guess about it. But it's about time the Necrons had a shot in the arm. They are actually, when you read the later codices, they're really fun. Mm-hmm. There's some great background to them. I mean, they're essential to the 40k universe, you know, because they're the ones who drove off the old ones. As they were, you know. They actually fought a war with the first sentient species, the first civilization in the existing universe, and won. These guys are like, they're significant. They're significant.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Not only that, but they chained the gods. These guys, using their technology, they shattered deity-like entities and enslaved them to their own uses. I mean, these guys, they're something else. At their full strength, they are something else.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think they were put on the back burner then, or not given the care that they needed? Is it because the idea for Games Workshop is to always push the Space Marines and the human factions and then Chaos, and then everything else gets kind of left to the wayside? Or do you think there was another reason to it?
I'm not sure. I'm not really sure. I think that may have been it, you know, because you've already got like a sort of arch nemesis faction. In fact, you've already got several arch nemesis factions technically, and I think maybe they were just given a little bit of short shrift as a result. And also there were just narratives unfurling that focused on other factions, you know, Chaos primarily. But now that's sort of fading out, and you've got the Cicatrix Maledictum established. They can start to focus on some of the other factions. I mean, if they're going to do it with the Necrons, then another race they should really start focusing on in Ninth Ed is the Drukhari. Mm-hmm. The Drukhari could do with a little bit of love as well, you know. And since we're now getting Zarek.
Yep.
We're getting Zarek, the ancient king of the Necron peoples. There's no reason why we can't have Asdrabale Vect as well.
Oh, that would be nice.
That would be lovely. I mean, I'm dying to see what Zarek does. Like on Battlefield terms.
I'm more interested to see what he's going to be as a walking force. You know, what is his goals and aims going to be? What's the point of him being there?
Yeah, because as we were talking about before we came on air, Zarek has been in the background for a little while. I think for about 2 or 3 codices. You know, when the Necrons, when they first came out, when they first did their original codex, they were very different. The character of the Necrons has changed remarkably.
Yeah.
They were still like this ancient race who went through biotransference and whatnot. But way back when, they were the slaves of the Catan. The Catan were in charge in the original incarnation, and then they changed it dramatically with one of the later releases, so that they inverted it, basically. The Necrons are now the masters, and the Catan are just slaves, you know? They were shattered by their technology, and they've just become slaves to their whims, yeah? With Zarek came about in one of the latter codices, along with a lot of the other key characters, like Illuminal Zeras, for example, who is like the arch father of the Necron race. He's the one who created biotransference, so he is the father of not only the Necron race in terms of its immortality, but also its fall. You know, its fall from grace. He is the one who orchestrated that.
Yeah.
But Zeras has been away. Oh, Zerak, rather, has been away for a long time. A really, really long time. He disappeared. He disappeared at sort of in the early days when the Necrons first started to arise from their tombs. He just disappeared from history, and no one knows where he went. So that's going to be interesting. Where was he, and what was he doing?
Do you really want to find out, or do you want to find out what the ramifications of where he's been?
Yeah, I mean, I think
if you,
it's one. Yeah.
I guess you could allude to it, like maybe he was on the outer ring of the galaxy, like in the dark places, like where the Tyranids came from.
Yeah. So he's on some sort of like sojourn or voyage or whatever. I kind of like that. I mean, they did that with Abaddon. You know, when Aaron Dembski-Bowden wrote his Black Legion books, they did a similar thing with Abaddon. And also in the background of 40k, when they started to focus on like Legion-specific background and rules, they rewrote Abaddon quite remarkably and made him less like a warlord character, more like this, almost like prophet who's been wandering the hinterlands of the Eye of Terror for God knows how long, learning secrets of the gods and communing with ancient cultures and spirits and that kind of thing. And he basically returned with all of this knowledge before embarking on his Black Crusade. So they could do a very similar thing with Zeras, or Zerak rather.
So what Andy said there interests me because it ties into something that I've been picking up on of late. You see, you're saying about going out to the Outer Rim and the dark places of the universe. Games Workshop have been doing this thing with. They've done it with Blackstone. They've done it with Rogue Trader. They're picking up on these little things in the 40k universe that aren't really getting explored. Imagine, if you will, then that he's been out to the outer edge, stirred up a load of trouble, and come back. What's to say that something isn't following him?
Right.
Yeah.
And we start to see some of the lesser things from 40k that you don't really ever hear about getting pulled back in.
Well, something from beyond the known Imperium, certainly. So beyond the known galaxy.
Because one of the things that Games Workshop always said is that they would not want to try and pull these smaller races. I think it was like an Ask Me Anything or something. Somebody asked about the creatures from the Eisenhorn series. Do you remember the corrupted creatures that were like walking mushroom crab people?
Yeah.
Well, there's no point in doing that because you can't have an army. But the Crusade part of the new 40k is to have smaller battles with smaller troops that you can tie together as a narrative.
Right. So there's no real reason why you couldn't have... You know how they did the Cities of Sigmar?
Yeah.
There's no reason why they couldn't have like a Races of the 40k universe. So you
Yeah.
have like a mercenary system, I suppose.
I mean, there's no reason why you can't have... You can have... Field two units from this... I don't know... what the hell the spiders from Murder called?
Oh, the
Mega-arachnids.
The mega-arachnids, yeah.
You can have 2 units of mega-arachnids and a mega-arachnid queen, and that's the entire army. And you can play that in an hour.
Right. There's precedent, isn't there?
Yeah.
Because there are already races in the armies in the 40k universe that do it. So the Inquisitors, for example, they have aliens in tow.
Yeah.
They have aliens in tow, you know. The Demonifuge model is going to have an alien in tow.
Yeah, true.
So there's no real reason why you can't do it. The as we discussed earlier, the Drakari do it. They've got loads of aliens on side, you know. Even the massively xenophobic Ajayani have things like the are they called gyrinxes? Those weird
the
cat
people.
things that they raise. So there's not, and then you've got the Chaos Forces. Well, they've always happily intermingled with aliens and whatnot. They don't care very much, you know. So yeah, I don't see any reason why that shouldn't be the case.
Mm-hmm.
The Tau, should be like the base level for this. They incorporate alien species by their very nature.
Yeah, and I don't understand why the Tau aren't like completely full of other aliens.
Well, initially they did have things like the Vespids, didn't they? And like the Kroot and whatnot, and that seems to have gone away.
It's very odd
over time. And really, they should expand on that. What you should get in the Tau is this wonderful pick and mix of lots of different alien races who are underneath the empire of the greater good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's no
is
reason
that
why
not an issue, like a business issue about crafting very unique models and stuff like that?
It's probably that. Yeah, it probably is. More than
Which is unfortunate, but makes sense, unfortunately. Because I remember those bat things. I thought they were kind of cool. At least I remember them from Dawn of War. But
the Vespid stingwings that were like spider things. Did
they ever exist outside the game? I'm guessing there were a few models, but I can't imagine they lasted long.
In they were a flying unit in the original Tau Codex. When that was first released, I think they were metal. I think they were. That's how long ago that was. They were actually a metal set. They're not still in the Tau forces, are they?
I'm sure they're not. I could be wrong.
I haven't seen the Vespid Stingwings. I haven't seen them for a long time. I don't think they're still part of the Tau.
No,
are they, Adam?
They're Forge World only. Not Forge, not Finecast. Sorry, they're Finecast only.
I thought that was the case.
Maybe it was also a thing of they looked at the business model and saw that the mechs and the normal Tau Fire Warriors were the only things that really sold versus the Kroot stuff. And maybe it was the case again of just going, okay, reconsolidate and we'll just focus on this stuff because this is what people want.
In that index, when 8th edition came out, the Kroot had their own army list. So
they were separate from the Tau.
They were in with the Tau, but they had their own army list. So
that is very interesting. I mean, there's potential there, though, isn't there? They could just develop the Kroot a little bit further.
Yeah.
What I'd love to see in the new Warhammer 40,000 is a few more sort of faction-specific things. So those forces that are kind of given short shrift, but which really should be their own separate entities.
Yeah.
A few more, factionalized things. I've always liked that. Like they've done in AOS, where they've separated out like the undead armies or the vampire armies into Flesh Eater Courts and Night Haunts and the forces of Nagash, which even themselves are then subdivided. I kind of love that.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of love that.
So let's get into the miniatures. Because there's a few topics I want to kind of hit, and I'm just aware that time's getting on a bit here. So the new Necrons, or as I like to call them, the sad, sad boys.
they are, aren't they? There's something about the way they've sculpted them. They look like they are sorrowful somehow.
Why would they be sorrowful?
The way the Necrons work is the process of biotransference that transformed them from actual living creatures into the Necrons. They're still alive in there. Their souls are still in those bodies, and over time they've become like corrupted. The system that emulates their minds has degraded, so there's only like a spark left of who they used to be, but there's just enough awareness in them to realize what's been done to them.
I think I'd be alright with it.
If I was like a high caste Necron, I'd be all right, because the Necron lords, like the Necron lords, the Cryptex, the ones who are sort of higher up in the food chain, they have more complex systems, so they remember more of who they used to be. They've got more in the way of autonomy, but your average Necron warrior, it's like everything is dreamy and not quite real, and they kind of, when they see the battlefield, they're seeing like ancient battlefields from the height of the Necron Empire,
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of sad. There is a tragedy innate to the Necron species, isn't there?
There really is. It's in the same way that the ghouls of AOS are actually a really sad tale. The Necrons here, they're all kind of trapped in their own fantasy.
You two are both doom and gloom. The flesh eaters are loving life. They're trapped in madness, but they're loving life. They think themselves to be great. Same for the Necrons. They're reliving good old glory days. They're just a little bit run down.
Some of them are. Some of them actually are. I mean, there's that character we were talking about earlier. What was his name? Ober something?
I was going to say...
Oberon? I can't remember. The one...
Obercron.
The one
Obercron.
Orican.
The one
Orican. No, Oberon. Yeah, it's you're thinking of
Oberon.
Oberon.
Oberon. He actually believes that he's still alive. He still thinks he's a Necron, and when he sees when he's fighting other races, he doesn't see them. He just sees the other enemy Necron empires.
Mm-hmm.
He still thinks...
Or the orcs. Like, if he fights the orcs, he probably just sees the orcs.
Yeah, he probably does just see the orcs. And the Eldari, of course, he probably just sees the Eldari, because they were around at the time. But he's still fully convinced that he's alive, and he's, it's millennia ago.
Does he try and eat? Does he just, mush apples against his face?
Ew. Well, apparently the flayed ones try to eat.
God.
Yeah, there's a description in their entry where it talks about how they try to cannibalize their victims, and it's just like the mush sort of slides down through their ribs and mechanisms and gums them up and makes them more corpulent and stinking and ghoul-like than they actually are.
You can imagine the Necron lords just looking at them going, "Yeah, idiots, what are you doing?"
Yeah, right. Ew. Well, the thing about the flayed ones is the most Necron lords really don't like them because they're a product. They are an example of the problems with biotransference. It's some sort of it's almost like a viral problem that's twisted their perceptions and made them rabid. Yeah, and a lot of Necrons are afraid they're going to catch it.
Ooh! Oh no!
There's like a disease. Yeah.
So they are the flesh eaters, like the flayed ones are the flesh eaters.
Yeah. The Necrons originally were envisaged as the undead in 40k.
Yeah.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
So
100%.
the flayed ones are the ghouls.
Yeah.
There's an interesting thing there, actually. If you look at the miniatures that are on the site,
the warriors.
Yeah. Have you noticed how they stand?
With that sort of hunched.
Not the hunch, it's the legs. The legs have the zombie feet turning inwards.
Oh, right.
Yeah, some of them do, yeah.
Which I think is a really interesting way. I think that kind of why I'm seeing such sad-looking individuals where they've all got this slightly shrunk in on themselves look.
You get the impression of them really shambling along, don't you? Just they're not very slow.
They do not march in lockstep anymore, like they said that they did originally.
No, they kind of shamble along, don't they? They drag their malfunctioning limbs behind them.
Yeah.
They kind of suggested that on the stream, didn't they, when they was saying that the basic Necron warrior isn't really getting the best reanimation protocols. So it's just it's fine, which makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense to me. I like that. I really do.
Yeah.
I also like the fact they've gotten rid of those bloody annoying transparent plastic parts.
But it looks like you can still add them. Like, it looks like there's enough of a gap between that pipe that you'll be able to snip them out. Because I did see some people say they're sad that they're gone, and I can see why, because it is kind of unique.
Yeah, it's unique.
But I can see why it's a pain. I've still got to stick mine on.
Have you ever tried to assemble one of them?
I've made the Necron warrior for the most part, but I haven't added in the rod yet because I want to keep it clear.
It's so annoying.
It looks difficult, but to be fair, most of the Necron warrior assembly is irritating.
Yeah.
Like that mini in general is just a pain. So I'm hoping these aren't. I really hope these are a lot easier to put together and less screaming, going, "Please stick, you stupid arms."
Yeah, you stupid so-and-so, yeah. Let's hope so, Let's hope so. It looks like they've got a little bit more in the way of variety as well, so you get like battle-damaged skulls and things, which is nice.
Oh, thank God.
I love the variety. I love the choice you get here. My favourite one's the one with the scar that goes down across the eye and the eye's leaking.
I think that's an immortal. He's got like the Gorse blaster in his arms.
Yeah.
So he's like the slightly tougher, bigger Necron.
I'm surprised that they've gone for them carrying weapons. I thought for the Necron's next version they would have integrated the weapons more into the arms and things.
Ah, right. So
like
sort
the
of
destroyers.
Yeah. So I'm a little surprised by that. I mean, it's not a good thing nor a bad thing. It's just
It's just the design, it's the way they've gone by the looks of it.
Mm.
Although the weapons are linked to them now, have you noticed? There are wires that come out of them and link them to the weapons, which is kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. I quite like that.
It looks like, having a look at them now, just looking at them on my phone as well, they've got a lot more interior detail. So a lot more hollow bits with wires and things. There's one of the immortals who's sort of striding forward, and there's a little scarab at his heel.
Scarry.
So cute.
Yeah, little scarab. I like that.
I like him. I'm going to call him Richard Scarry, and he's going to tell you about his wonderful world.
More of them, please. More of the little scarabs, and like the little. I get the impression of them, like, you know, the swarms of little robotic creatures follow them everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like to see, like,
what if the scarabs are the downloaded servants of the warrior? That would be awful.
Oh god! Oh my god! Yeah. So the ones who used to like maintain their weapons and their armor for them, like the seneschals, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god! So they've been enslaved to them as scarabs now.
Yep.
Oh, that'd be neat.
Dear.
I like the one that's by the guy's foot because it looks like he's waving a little bit.
Yes.
It's like, why I order.
Oh, see, it was more like, hello, fleshy.
I like it. Like he's trying to be held back by the Necron warrior, or else he might go mental and kill someone.
I've got this. No, I've got this.
He's got the sort of short man syndrome.
Yeah, he's got a proper Napoleon complex.
Brilliant.
In life, he was like the head of the harem.
Who is the big sort of spidery Necron lord thing that we've seen that's carrying the big glaive? It's not Illuminor Xerath, although it looks similar to him.
I think that was classed as a Necron Lord Destroyer or a Destroyer Necron Lord.
Right, okay. So
it's one of the destroyers that have been leveled up to a Necron Lord status with big weapons and blasters and stuff.
It's a gorgeous
so
miniature.
It sounds... It's very lovely, but it sounds like the Destroyer Lords have got a bit more presence then, because they were a little bit sort of niche once upon a time.
Yeah, it was just a floaty body with a slight... Like, the colour scheme was gold, if I remember, for the most part, and then the top was just a slightly more ornate Necron Lord.
That's pretty much it. They were almost indistinguishable from the sort of the Destroyers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I never liked the look of them.
I wasn't a fan myself, but they look good now.
These are big. They're imposing as hell now.
Well, they kind of should be. I mean, the background for the Destroyers is that they've also been corrupted like the flayed ones. Their protocols have been distorted, so they don't have any purpose other than nihilism. They just want to lay waste to everything.
Yeah.
There's nothing else. They want to just see a universe of parched rock and bone and nothing else.
And of course, some of them just want to wear people.
Yeah, some of them want to wear people, yeah.
Who doesn't?
But yeah, the picture that excited me the most was that grainy little picture that showed you so much.
Yeah, I was just trying to find that. I can't find them quickly.
Do you want me to send it to you?
Yeah, if you've got them handy, I think it's worth talking about.
Did you guys notice in the upper right corner the picture of Xerath?
Yes.
Xerath in his immense machine.
What
this
is
floaty
that?
little temple?
It's like a floating temple thing, isn't it? And it's got like external like pylons that power it, and a captive Catan.
Yeah.
There's a Catan held captive in between the pylons, and Xerath is kind of standing on it.
Maybe it's
really
like a dais
cool.
where he ironically doesn't say anything to the crowds. I'm only partially joking there because at first I wondered if it was one of the awful, what were they called, Doom arcs, which I always thought were crap.
Yeah.
But then it looks a lot more interesting than that, though. It looks like it'll be a pain to paint. Yeah. Unless you're really good at painting.
And to assemble, for that matter. It looks like a complete nightmare to assemble. But it's kind of like, it's what I expected. On the last episode, Adam, we talked about, I think you asked, what do you think they're going to do with Xerath? And I think I said, they're going to do the Catacross thing. They're going to make him like a...
You did.
A scenario.
Yep.
And that's exactly what they've done. Xerath himself looks kind of small. He himself is not going to be that massive.
No.
But the the thing that he's standing on is very impressive. And I kind of like that because Zerak, in the background, is kind of understated.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He's not meant to be, like, big and impressive. He's the Silent King.
Yeah, he's not a bloodthirster. Yeah, he's not a...
No.
He's not a Magnus or anything like that.
He's a manipulator.
Yeah.
He's not like Abaddon. I mean, Abaddon's a manipulator as well, but Abaddon leads from the front. You know, Abaddon wants to get in there and demonstrate his own prowess, yeah? Zerak doesn't do that.
Are you thinking the way that the model might play is something akin to a necromancer, but like a necromancer on a big dragon? The big dragon just happens to be a giant machiney floaty thingy.
I think that may be it. I think he'll probably have a lot of firepower, and I think he'll have a lot of buffing for surrounding Necron units. A lot of buffing power.
I've just had a theory. Sorry, a theory just happened. You know what you said before about the 40k getting its own endless spells? Mm-hmm. I think those two pylon things aren't part of the dais. I think they're going to be
the equivalent of
the endless spells.
Interesting, because of course the Necrons, it will have to be something different for the Necrons, but it may be the equivalent of, because the Necrons don't use psychers, you know. But yeah, it may be that. Like they're going to have to do that for certain other races as well, like the Drakari. They don't use psychers either.
No.
Or any Khorne army.
Well, they just do what they did with AOS Khorne, where it's a spell,
exactly.
it's a prayer.
Exactly, you just transfer it over. And they can even use the same models. Yeah. The same models work just as well. They work perfectly fine. But yeah, maybe that. Maybe they have like... the thing is, there's already precedent in the Necron army for that kind of thing. They never had Psychers, but they did have Cryptechs.
Yep.
Yes. And Cryptechs have Cryptech powers, because their technology is basically, it's so advanced it may as well be magic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they can manipulate time, they can manipulate physics, they can manipulate gravity and create stuff out of nothing. They can distort reality on a molecular level, so there, you've already got them.
It'll be interesting to see what the next White Dwarf looks like, because my theory is that this is stuff that was meant to get released next month.
Yeah.
And a big part of the reason for that is that I don't think they were quite ready to show everything and talk about everything while I was watching the stream. However, I do want to point out the whiteboard was the best bit of trolling I've ever seen since the reset the clock thing that they did with the Sisters of Battle.
That was funny.
But I want to know what the next White Dwarf's going to look like, because this picture that I'm looking at here, it looks like it was photographed from White Dwarf.
It does, doesn't it? It does have a very sort of White Dwarf flavour about it, doesn't it?
So is that from the next issue or the issue after, or what? So it's going to be interesting to see what the next few months of White Dwarf's going to look like. Because if they throw this out in the next issue of White Dwarf, that's real fast.
That's fast, isn't it? I mean, it's difficult, isn't it? Because the time frame has been so distorted by other, world events and whatnot. And generally speaking, I think Games Workshop have coped with it pretty damn well, I've got to say.
Well, we've seen, haven't we, how well Games Workshop have coped with it in a
we have
in an unofficial conversation.
We have indeed, yes. Pretty damn well. I think is fair to say, pretty damn well. So when the release dates, I mean, we've got to get to the end of Phoenix Rising,
Mm-hmm.
I'd assume before most of this happens anyway. I'd assume so, because of course they, it's hard to say. They did say that you're not going to have to like drop all of your codices and your books. It's not going to be like the shift to 8th ed where you're going to need to have an index or whatever. You're still going to be able to use what you've got. So,
which is a good thing.
But a new Necron codex has to be on the way. I would assume, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, eventually they'll release codices, like 9th ed codices for everything. I've no doubt. I've absolutely no doubt.
Was there an 8th ed one for Necrons? There wasn't, was there?
Yes.
Was there?
Yes.
Yeah, there was. It was very low key. It was good. It was really good, but it was very low key. For some reason,
it was just an update one, really, wasn't it?
It didn't get as much attention as some of the other stuff, which was a bit of a shame, really, because it's good.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of nice new background.
I wonder then if that's why so many of the last set of codices felt so perfunctory because they just kind of. I mean, that last Orc one they did, it was good, but a lot of it seemed cut and paste.
Right.
And then they announced Gazgul in that last box set.
I still can't get over the size of that bloody
thing. That thing is gorgeous, and I love it.
It's
and I don't need to
massive.
be playing 40k Orcs, but my God, I want to.
He's really cool, isn't he? I've got to say. I mean, Gazgul has had lots of incarnations down the line. I mean, do you remember when he was really small?
Oh yeah,
like tiny as hell. Only marginally bigger than Makari.
Yeah. But had a wonderful hat and a wonderful pair of shoes.
He had a wonderful hat and a wonderful pair of boots. He did. Yeah, it's absolutely true. But by God, he's friggin' enormous, isn't he?
When did Gazgul Thraka and Ragnar Blackmane become bitter enemies?
I don't think it wasn't until this Phoenix Rising book. They don't have any previous.
No, they actually. They do.
think.
They've. I was looking through it and I was like,
oh God,
when did this happen? Because it's always been Thraka versus Yarrick.
Yeah, I mean, I would have thought if they were doing like a Phoenix Rising book that featured Gazgul, then the obvious thing would be to have Commissar Yarrick turn up again.
I think Yarrick's dead.
Is he?
I think he might have died of old age.
Well, that's a problem with human characters in 40k, isn't it? It is such a wide time frame. Space Marines can get away with it because they're practically immortal as long as they don't get killed.
Yeah.
Eldari can get away with it because again they live a very long time. Human characters.
Well, Yarrick was about to retire when the Second War of Armageddon happened. Yeah, so
retire.
He was already quite old, so I've got this horrible feeling that he might have just died
of
old age somewhere off screen.
It's entirely possible.
And if that's the case, I'm really sad.
Yeah, that is kind of sad, isn't it? But then again, have you noticed that it tends to happen with the Imperial Guard / Astra Militarium characters? They turn up, then they just go away. What about Solar Macarius?
Yeah.
Solar Macarius was he's still massive in the background. You've got the whole Macarian Crusade, it's a massive section of the Imperial background, but he hasn't been a model for years and years and years.
Well over a decade at this point, isn't it?
Yeah, it's odd, isn't it? It's very strange.
Is there anything that you've noticed that you'd like to bring up, Andy?
Specifically about what?
To be honest, we're all over the place here, so it doesn't anything at all. What do you think about Yarrick's heart attack?
I don't know much about Yarrick, only from what I've heard about you two talking about him.
Badass. He's an old guy, but he fights. He's fought Gazgul Thraka any number of times, like 1-on-1.
Well,
he
got kidnapped and tortured by Thraka.
Yeah, he's a tough old bird, basically.
He ripped a power claw off an orc and then used it to beat another orc to death.
Right,
Jesus.
Right.
Sorry.
In terms of the Necron releases, I was kind of surprised and a little bit disappointed that it doesn't seem like we're going to get any new flayed ones. I've mentioned this quite a few times, that the flayed ones are in this awful place where the only way you can get them is through either fine cast the metals, and you have to order them in store, and they're very, very old at this point. Yeah. So I was wondering if they're maybe phasing them out, or what?
It would be sad if they do, because
they might be getting rid of them for these new close combat destroyers. I'm guessing
it's possible. It's entirely possible, because the Necrons have never been a close combat army. They've never been that.
No.
And now there are other units. Even now, there are other units that do it better than the flayed ones do. So, like the Lich Guard, for example. The wraith things that the Necrons have, those big spidery things that phase through reality, they do it better than the flayed ones do. But it's a shame, because I like what the flayed ones represent in the background. They're another flavour of horror to the Necrons.
Yeah.
So it would be a shame if they did phase them out. Pun not intended, obviously.
I think in that grainy image as well, we do see some Lich Guard or Praetorians as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And they look new.
Yep. But no flayed ones. I can't see anything that resembles a flayed one. And as you say, Andy, their miniatures are very ailing at this point.
Yeah.
Very ailing indeed. So it may be the case they might, when the next edition rolls around, they may just be either, just slowly shunted off to the side.
We could be wrong, though, because there's no scarab shown in that image, but in the, in quotation, starter set preview image, there are some scarabs in there as well.
Oh, right, so maybe.
Yeah.
There's potential then. There is potential there.
Have you seen, George, the image of what the starter set is going to look like?
Yes, I've seen bits and pieces. I've seen like the 2 images that have come up to show you what's on the Imperial side and what's on the Necron side. Yeah. Looks good.
It looks like a massive box. Like there's lot of Necron stuff.
Lots of stuff going on there. It looks great. It really looks good. I mean, neither armies I collect, but it's still very tempting.
I found someone to split it with, so I'm good. I've got the Necron stuff, so I'm sorted.
But yeah, it's exciting stuff. I mean, the Necrons are an army I'm interested in terms of like in abstract terms, their background and what they represent. So I'm interested to see where they go and what presence they have once they erupt again. What is going to be their thing,
Yeah.
Is it going to be like a surprise for all of the other races in the 40k universe? Are they going to be like fighting the tail end of the wars that come about as a result of psychic awakening, and suddenly, in the midst of them, all of these temples start to activate and Necrons rise up, and suddenly they maybe have to fight together to survive or something?
It would be interesting to see. I like the fact that they're doing to 40k what they did to AOS, which is putting Chaos on the back burner for a little bit and letting another race become the big bad for a while. I mean, on one hand, you could make the argument it's a bit shitty that they're just doing the undead in 40k like they did in AOS.
No, it's the best thing. It's the best thing about it.
Yeah, when you could have a gigantic Tyranid invasion of some description. But, it's one of those things. I'm happy to see another race take center stage for a while.
Yeah, maybe what they're doing now is something that people have been calling for a while, which is maybe they're going to shift the onus to the Xenos races a little bit.
I hope so.
They could use it, couldn't they?
Absolutely.
They could use it. Because a lot of the Xenos races have been given a little bit of short shrift, They tend to occur in the background more than anything else. So that would be nice to see.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I want to see more Tyranid stuff. I want Tyranids to get a little bit more of a push, because they've been kicking around the background, and the background says that they're doing all these massive things, but yeah,
look, the only way you'll get me to care about the Tyranids is if they go back to the drawing board and redesign all of them to look more unique, to look more like the Second Ed. Because I loved Tyranids Second Ed.
Absolutely.
But as soon as they went to the uniformed look, I thought they lost all of their personality.
I'd actually be inclined to agree with you there, because they all look like... I mean, I can see why they did it. Everything comes from that one single birthing pit. All right, okay, I understand why you've done it. But having these proper monsters, as far as the eye can see, that only had the barest connection to each other... I really always like that.
I thought it too.
I thought it made them more interesting because it felt like the hive mind was 100% dedicating itself to making something unique to fight this one specific area, rather than we're all kind of the same. There's just a few tweaks here and there. But like you say, I get it. But I think having like incredibly dedicated, unique looks to the stuff gave the army so much more personality.
It's irritating when it comes to the Tyranids, because they're such a... They've been around since 1988.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God.
And they're always that army that never gets a good run. They never get a good...
No.
Since Second Ed. I mean, Second Ed were amazing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they had that.
They were the monster codex in Second Ed.
I mean, they were
the point whereby people started to not play against them.
Oh yeah, they were too much. But I mean, they were one of the reasons that version of Epic sold is because you got that epic Tyranid army. They
which is brilliant, by the way.
Oh yeah, front and center. And
the Bio-Titan concept, love it.
The Dominatrix.
The Dominatrix, yeah.
I think was fantastic.
So cool. Bring it back.
Yeah,
Bring it back. Since we're doing the big kits, bring it back. The Tyranid sort of queen creature. Do it, you know?
Well, do you remember what the Tyranids were like during 2nd edition? Yeah, not just on the battlefield, but in the fiction and everything. They were everywhere. Yeah, they threw Tyranids into everything, and they were the poster child for 1994 to 1996 or something like that.
Well, they were. I mean, it's difficult for people to remember because they're so established now, but they were the new race.
Yeah.
They were the new... Well, they'd been in the background, but they'd never had a dedicated army book. And really, the only models that existed were Gene Stealers, Hybrids, and Warriors. Mm-hmm. And the Screamer Killer, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
But they'd never had like a dedicated army-wide miniatures range. Up until that point, it was a really big thing when they came out. Yeah. It was a big thing. They were new.
Yeah, and you got that second ed codex hit, and that was loads of different things, and you could tell there was loads of different designers working on it, and it was really cool. And
it was really good. That
Inferno
book. Really
ran
good.
So many Tyranid stories. The Scouts versus Tyranids. They had that actual Tyranid board game at one point.
Lictors were huge. Lictors were like in the fiction all the time.
Yeah, and there's all this stuff going on, and then I don't know what happened. It was like 3rd or 4th, and they just kind of went into the background.
Mm-hmm. Like George said, like many of the Xenos races did.
Yeah, it happened a lot, unfortunately.
It just seems to really grab my goat when it comes to the Tyranids, because they're there. Look, this is like literally the biggest universe-ending threat that the galaxy has.
Well, they threaten everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Tyranids threaten everything, even Chaos. Chaos is afraid of them. The Chaos Gods are described as being afraid of the Shadow in the Warp. Yeah. So, yeah.
No.
Maybe they could do a thing where the Silent King, we talked about it earlier, is running and he's bringing the actual Tyranids in, since the current one's a scouting party.
Oh, God, can you imagine?
God, that'd be interesting. That would be very interesting.
There's your push. There's your Tyranid push.
If they're going to go for, like, the Tyranids, if they're going to redesign them, I'd like to see a little bit more HR Giga work in them.
That'd be all right. Yeah. I'd be okay with that.
I'd be up for that, definitely.
Yeah, less StarCraft Zerg, please.
Mm-hmm. Which is weird because the Zerg took that and then they took it back from there. Yeah. One of those weird, annoying things.
Yeah. And, of course, the Tyranids are originally designed to be the alien, the xenomorph. Obviously, the Gene Stealers are based heavily on the xenomorph.
Well, you know that original Tyranid Warrior plastic kit?
Yeah,
right?
I remember that.
Have you ever heard where the idea of that came from?
No idea.
It was designed, what would happen if a xenomorph got onto a Tyrannosaurus Rex?
I kind of see it.
That was the idea. That's where it comes from.
I can kind of see that. Yeah.
How brilliant is that for a design concept?
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
Is the Carnifex a squid then? Like an octopus?
Maybe. I thought you said is the Carnifex a squig? And yes.
Oh man, we've never had a Tyranid squig before.
Oh, we have.
Have we?
The first Tyranid army had the plastic Tyranid warriors.
Yes, this is one of the ones you've been hunting down, isn't it? Or
then you had the herd base that was just covered in squigs.
Well, the squigs were originally Tyranids, weren't they?
Yeah, the squigs were
in the background.
Yeah, it's what happens when orcs were eaten.
Yeah. So silly. I love it.
I'm going to just try and see if I can find a picture of the Tyranid squigs, because these things are fantastic. Here we go.
So silly. I love it.
So we want to copy the image link.
I mean, squigs are silly enough in and of themselves.
Oh, yeah. I love squigs. I think squigs are fantastic, and I will...
Oh, those are fun, aren't they?
Oh, they're delightful.
Yeah.
I love the one with little spider legs.
Yeah, that's the one I was looking at too. He is fun.
There was another set that happened as well, and I can't seem to find pictures of them. So there's like this really tall one that was in there as well. It doesn't matter.
Brilliant.
But yeah, I love the Tyranid squig. I need all these squigs. I need to get them all.
Well, you know, if that's what they're going to do with Ninth Ed, if they're going to focus on some of the Xenos races, then that's great. The Drukhari, obviously, they could do with a bit of a shot in the arm now. They could do with like... The problem with the Drukhari is exactly what you've got with the Tyranids. The Drukhari, or rather with the Necrons, in terms of their background, they're not the galaxy-ending threat. That's not what they're about. You know, they strike from the shadows. They're kind of small frame. They're small scale. It's more what they do to you if they get you that's terrifying. But as a result of that, they do tend to kind of get shaded by like the big sort of apocalyptic threats like Chaos or the Tyranids or whatever. So they could do with Azdrabale coming back. That's what they need. They need Azdrabale coming back.
Well, I think I know what we're saying here is we're asking for everything to get lots of stuff. And that's not going to happen. You know, obviously.
No, it's kind of a wish list.
Yeah, reality has to kind of kick itself in, and you have to kind of take that step back and go, hang on.
That said, you know, the fact that Zerak is up there on his big whatever the hell it is, and, you know, Azdrabale traditionally has always floated around on his dais of destruction, there's potential for a big miniature there, and they like their big character miniatures at the moment, so why not?
So there's only two more things I want to get into before we finish up, because I realise that we're coming up to time now. So the 40k logo, what's everyone's thoughts?
You know, when I first saw it, what I thought was, I only saw it in passing on my phone because I was busy at work, and I thought, it's the original Rogue Trader 40k logo.
It's not a million miles away. Okay, yeah.
It's not, is it?
No.
It's actually kind of similar. It's got this sort of retro vibe to it that I kind of like.
I do feel that it's a little bit too futuristic, but that's just because, as far as I'm concerned, the Warhammer 40,000 logo is gold.
That's right, yeah. I don't want to be the old man, but it's like, that's the best one. It's just the best. It's the most striking.
But it's a nice logo. I actually quite like it.
I kind of like it too. I've got to say, I'm kind of into it, and the more I see it, the more it's growing on me. It's kind of striking.
Yeah.
Someone said it had an air of Top Gun's logo to it as well.
I can see that.
I can see that.
And it's difficult to unsee once someone said it.
So,
unfortunately.
So what you're saying is we need to get hold of the Aeronauticus, whatever it's called, the
Aeronauticus Imperialis.
Thank you. I couldn't remember what it was called. I was about to call it Aeronauticus Nauticus, which would be submarines in the sky, or planes underwater. One of the two.
One of the two.
Flying squid, maybe. What we need to do is get that and then play a game, but have Danger Zone playing and then just do lots of smash cuts.
And have lots of sort of subtextual homoeroticism going on. That's what Top Gun is
That just
about.
goes without saying whenever I...
yeah, of course.
I was about to say that goes without saying whenever I get Andy onto a table. I'm going to rephrase that.
I didn't realise our relationship had gone that far, Adam.
Wow. You heard it here first, folks.
I heard it here first, that's for sure.
Right.
Rephrasing that too, whenever I get a game with... no, there is no coming back from this one.
And by the way, I'm the token homosexual on this show, so thank you very much. That's my bracket.
Oh, okay. I think I've just broken everything in the show. Fantastic.
Right, yeah. Getting territorial over there.
To be fair, I'm just the token person who doesn't listen to himself speak. It's kind of ruins the illusion. And then the final thing I was going to... Christ almighty. So that CGI cinematic trailer, I think that's worth having to talk about, because A, it's really good, and B, where's my AOS version?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a fair point, actually. They do seem to go, when it comes to the animatics, they do tend to go for 40k more, don't they?
They really do, and it's starting to get on my nerves a little bit.
I wonder if that's simply because 40k is the more sort of, it's more naturally inclined to that kind of cinematography. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, you could do that with Stormcast. You know,
yeah.
All it takes is working out what you're going to do.
Chaos Warriors, obviously.
But then,
could be quite good.
If you remember, about a year ago, they showed off some animatics of a Stormcast and a Space Marine, and the Space Marine is in this trailer. So, I think there will be an AOS version.
Interesting.
When do you think they'd save it for?
Say again?
When do you think they'd save it for?
I don't know. I think they're moving...
It'd need to be a big release, obviously, because this is a big new edition of the game. And they can't be doing a new AOS version of the game, because
No.
It's too soon or too close to this, and it hasn't been that long, relatively
no.
speaking, since Soul War.
Yeah, how about in 2 years? I want to say.
No, I mean if they're gonna, maybe if they do a new battle tome, maybe it'll be a new Stormcast battle tome. Or something.
Maybe they could do it when Slanesh breaks out of the prison.
Yay!
That could be interesting.
That's going to happen soon. I hope.
Well, we're looking at what this is. They call it the brand cinematic.
Mm-hmm.
So the file is a brand cinematic. It's not a. It doesn't get classified as the 40K trailer. It gets classified as a brand cinematic, which makes me think that what they're doing is they're going to be making these cinematics in order to get people's interest into the brand. It's not an advertisement for a certain thing. It's an advertisement for the 40K brand as a whole. If that's the case, then I can imagine we're going to see these type of things just every now and again. Obviously,
it's sort of cropping up.
Yeah, not regularly, because bloody hell, the amount of work that goes into these things is incredible. I mean,
and it is very good, isn't it? I mean, it's a very good trailer. I know if I were like a kid or a teenager and I saw that, I'd be instantly into it.
Mm-hmm.
I'd want to know what's going on.
I mean, I've watched this about 3 or 4 times now, and the amount of stuff that's going on with it is absolutely... I mean, I've got it playing now as I'm talking. And you look at this and you wonder, did they get the guy who did Astartes? I mean, obviously they didn't, because that guy, this would have started work way before Astartes gained notoriety. But I mean, the sheer amount of stuff that's going on here is incredible. The weight of things moving, everything moves incredibly realistic. There's recoil on the bolters. You see people's arms shift back. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on here. This is really professional.
The effect of the Gorse weapons.
Yeah.
The way people just sort of like dissolve, and I loved that. I thought that was very cool.
Let's even the Necron as he crawls along before he gets his head shot off. You know, he's
the presence of the Primaris Marine. You know, he's kind of stoic and silent, and when he talks, it's very low and very sort of monosyllabic. I think that's very cool.
A lot of people have made the thing of this looks like it's the intro to a game, and
it does.
I
it is the intro to a game, isn't it?
I disagree to that one, because it.
Really?
Yeah, I feel this looks like the cold open to a movie.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like this ends and you instantly pick up and start running around.
Start playing.
Press X. This feels like this ends and then the music starts up and then you're going to start getting the story.
No, I would definitely go for the video game aspect, because it reminds me a lot of the Dawn of War 2 trailer.
Okay.
Likewise, it does remind me of a video game intro very much. I can sort of see, like, after it finishes, a title screen coming up and a start thing, you know?
Okay.
Yeah. If you watch the Dawn of War 2 trailer, whenever you can, Mr. Adam, you'll probably get a similar vibe, I think.
Okay, I'll have to go back and rewatch it.
Not quite as advanced as this.
Yeah.
Oh, well, Dawn of War 2's also pretty old at this point as well.
Yeah, right.
And I do want to say, how good is it hearing Gareth... oh, God, I've forgotten his last name.
Longworth?
No, it's Toby Longworth.
That's Toby Longworth.
Gareth Jenkins, is it? I can't remember.
He's very good.
Yeah,
he's very
He's
good.
one of my favourite audiobook narrators, and I can't remember his name, and I feel really bad about it. Gareth Watson. Anyhow, so it was really cool just hearing his voice coming out of a Space Marine.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. The characterization, as brief as it is, actually works really well. The Space Marines are often very difficult to capture in visual media. I think we've established that. They're very hard to capture correctly. But I think this does it quite well.
And I think it's the Sister of Battle is actually Emma Gregory as well, which is quite good.
I've definitely heard her before.
Yeah.
Certainly.
So she's one of the other good narrators that Games Workshop has for their audiobooks. She did a really good Necromunda one, which I thoroughly enjoyed.
I liked the little detail, you know, where the Space Marine is about to be done in, and the Sister of Battle saves him, and she gets a slight nod.
Yeah.
In appreciation. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah. It is such a brilliant cinematic, and I've loved watching it every time I watched it. I think this is what I want to see more of, because this is fantastic. And in a week where GW have come under fire a little bit for decisions that have been made.
Yeah.
I think this has gone a long way to rectifying
Yeah, and of course, I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, given the current circumstances, most businesses are, even ones as big as Games Workshop, are having issues, aren't they?
Oh, Christ,
it's, you know...
Yeah.
It is what it is.
At least it's not Barclays who've lost 90% of their earnings.
Right, yeah.
Now, I'm not saying anything more about that, but I mean, I'm going to sit over here and chuckle. So, is anybody got anything else they want to bring up, or shall we start closing things down?
No, I think for me that's pretty much it.
Well, I'll just quickly ask, when do we think the box set will come out?
Oh, the
Is it a
40k
summer
one?
Thing, an autumn thing, or a winter thing?
October.
Oh God,
October.
I'm thinking like late on now,
Yeah.
late on, because of course, I mean, we've got several Phoenix Rising books to come out yet.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So I imagine this could be a Christmas thing, or maybe even into the next year. Who knows?
Well, I mean,
I guess it depends how much the virus thing has pushed things back as well in that kind of aspect.
Right.
So I'm not like gagging for it to come out, because it's not going to be easy to get just because of how the world's working at the moment.
Right.
But I imagine Americans are really going to be annoyed.
Oh,
think about the Australians.
Oh,
right, yeah.
They're always annoyed. And they have a good right to always be annoyed, but they'll have even more reason now.
Yeah, right. But yeah, it's not going to be for a while.
No. I mean, the factories are only just starting to restart now. Like the Games Workshop factories only just restarting, and it's restarting on a very limited basis.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for something like a new version of 40k getting the publications out, that is a huge undertaking.
It's going to be tricky, isn't it?
Well, it is.
With the best will in the world, it's going to be difficult.
You've got 6 or 7 different production areas that all need to be working in tandem.
God.
You've got the books, the counters, you've got the miniatures itself, you've got the actual boxing, you've got putting everything together, you've got shrink wrapping it, you've got delivery. These are all areas where you've got to have everything working in tandem, because a delay on one will delay everything else.
Exactly. Yeah.
At the moment, I don't think it's going to be entirely viable in order to get this stuff out.
Yeah.
Until whatever happens next to get things rolling again. And I think we're a little while off that yet.
Uncertainty is something that business in general does not like, and that's kind of where we are at the moment. It's just totally uncertain. Nobody knows what's going to happen. In the coming months. So, the months remaining in this year, nobody really knows. So it's difficult to say, but it ain't going to be for a bit.
No. And I think that's kind of why they've got this out now. They're going to... A lot of people said that it felt like a bit of a low-key announcement. And I think the reason for that is they know that it's going to be a while before they can get this out. So talk about things for the next couple of months.
I think
feed
what
these
they
bits.
Yeah, they're sort of like feeding the fire a little bit, aren't they? They're just fanning the flames a little bit, just letting it smolder away.
Yeah.
Because people are going to be talking about this.
Of course.
Yeah, people are going to be talking about this. It's exciting, it's a new edition of 40k. Yay! It's everybody's going to want to know what's going on. I imagine in the coming months we're going to see lots of little things just dripping in of what's going to, what the new rules are going to consist of, what they've changed, how they've changed, how you adapt your new codices, and so on and so forth. I mean, there's the new website as well, of course, the new 40k website, which is very nice.
It is, and doing things like the Q&A with the games designers. I mean, that's brilliant. When did you ever expect that to happen?
Right, yeah, it's fun. It really is cool.
Right then. So with all that being said, guest first, Andy. What do you want?
Me.
What do you want to pimp?
You can find me, if you like, on Twitter, CCTFW, on YouTube as Cobra Commander TFW, or you can head over to my Transformers podcast, which is the Moonbase 2 podcast, which is on iTunes, Facebook, Libsyn, all those kind of jazz, and on YouTube as Moonbase 2 Transformers podcast.
Excellent.
Superb. Can I highly recommend Andy's Bloodborne Let's Play? It's very good. It's very good. We did it simultaneously, and what it demonstrated to me is how shit at the game I am. Basically.
Well, what I was going to ask you there, George, was what would you like to praise Millman for, as we now have him?
So many things, but primarily for his work for his Bloodborne and Dark Souls Let's Plays, and for joining me, of course, on Strange Playgrounds, where we talked about talked about Bloodborne and Dark Souls and metaphysics and all sorts of weird stuff.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
It was great fun, that was.
And what would you like to pimp out?
Oh, the same as usual, actually, guys. All of my written and published work you can find at strangeplaygrounds.com. It's Knocking About Amazon. Born in Blood Volume 1 is out. Strange Playgrounds and Essential Atrocities. There will be more coming later in the year. A lot of it has been delayed for reasons, obvious reasons. But by the by, have you heard what the Let's Players are calling the current pandemic?
No.
The Backstreet Boys reunion tour.
Why?
Because they can't mention COVID-19 on their Let's Plays because
of course
YouTube have this thing about demonetizing it's ridiculous. It's the algorithm, because it's negative and YouTube doesn't like negative. So they euphemistically refer to it as the Backstreet Boys reunion tour. Which I think is fantastic.
Is that because everybody rock your body? Carry on, I'm just going to be in the background singing this.
Yeah, no worries. You can also, if you want to chat, guys, you can find me on Enigmatic Elegy on Twitter, and you can also find my Let's Plays and videos and podcasts over at Exaggerated Elegy on YouTube.
Excellent stuff. As for me, right, I've been told off, gentlemen. I've been told off many, many times over the last few weeks. And that's because I don't tell anyone about the Patreon. Because I know I'm really bad at asking people for money. Because I never feel comfortable doing it. So, with that being said, right, you horrible lot, we have a Patreon. If you go to Patreon and surf the Fluffenhammer, you will find there is a grand total of much stuff. Every single audio reading I've done has been upped in quality and stuck up there to be downloaded. There are a multitude of sideshows that have been done over the years that have been put up there. Myself and Andy have been doing some bits and bobs for the Patreon. You've got stuff that me and George have talked about before the shows. Basically, anything that isn't the main Fluffenhammer goes up onto the Patreon. I didn't realise how much stuff there was up on there. There is tons.
There's some weird and wonderful, wacky discussions up there, I can tell you.
Absolutely. I mean, did we actually do the sexuality in 40k? We didn't.
We did.
We did. We actually did it. Yeah,
we did. Yeah, it's up there. Yeah, we did it. We talked about things like what gender identity is in the 40k universe, in the Imperium, and in with regards to the alien races, and what sexuality means in the 40k universe. It was really interesting.
And we had a grand overview of the life and times of H.P. Lovecraft. That's up there. There's quite a lot of stuff. Me and Andy have done a little round table on the second of the the first of the Felix and Gotrek books. And we're going to do the second one at some point. And we've also done one on Dark Harvest. So yeah, there's loads of stuff up there. So you can go up there and give us $2 a month, and you get tons of stuff.
It's a good bit of bang for your buck, isn't it? You get hours worth of content. I've got to say, hours worth of content.
Well, this is the thing I've always felt about the Patreon, is that if I can't give people more than they're giving us in return, then I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to.
I totally agree.
Yeah,
I totally agree.
It's one of those things I always feel very guilty about, where there's a big chunk of time where I haven't been able to do anything for it. But now that we're up and running and there is tons of stuff up there now, $2.
It's good. It's good stuff.
$2 and you get tons of stuff. And I've got ideas and things for the future and what to do with that. Once, of course, I am working less than 6 days a week.
Hopefully, one day.
Well, the end of this month, I'll only be working 3. So, yay, from one to the other.
Yeah, right.
Fantastic. So, all that being said, we are going to get out of here. Thank you very much, Andy. Praise Millman!
Thank you very much.
Praise Millman.
Praise Millman. In the grim darkness of the far future, there is only praising Millman.
What a bleak future.
The Chaos Gods are not going to be pleased.
No.
They are not going to be pleased.
Gundam for the Millman throne.
Slaanesh is a jealous lover, guys. You don't jilt Slaanesh.
In the grim darkness of the far future, Andy has married Slaanesh.
Oh God! Wow.
Is he a gentle lover?
No.
I don't.
No.
I don't know, Andy.
Oh.
Are you a gentle? Anyhow, moving on.
No.
Moving on quickly. Thank you very much, Andy. Thank you very much, George. And
Pleasure. Always, always, always.
thank you very much to the guys at home. You guys take care now.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.